Okay, I must have bumped that. So now we're back. We showed the last injector right there is being a little bit, enough moisture that it's actually collected some dirt on it. All the other ones we already said, we showed that. Sorry, kind of double going over, and we said we'd show the alternator. There's the alternator, parts tag still on it. You can see down around the front of the engine the dust on it. Then we came back around. We were talking about the muffler. This had rusted through on the top right here. You can see where we fixed the muffler. Had to put a new piece of plate in there. I remember pulling that off in order to weld it. Here's, you can see where the band was originally clamped by Daewoo. You can see where it sat back on, and I put the band around it. And here's where I pulled it off. I don't remember if I put that on brand new or not. Looks awful new, but I don't. That might have been 10, 12 years ago that I did that. Still good and solid. Okay, I think we got everything covered here. Now we wanted to show you under this panel. This panel lifts up like this, and there's your fuel filter. Right there. Well, that's a Baldwin, a BF7546, which you could use anybody's filter. That's the only fuel filter in the system from the factory. But as I was saying before, I put another fuel filter down there at the bottom. And if you like, we'll get down to that. I will show you if I can see it. Down there by the drain plug, and it's just simple spin-on fuel filter, a primary fuel filter. This is your main or secondary. Oh boy, what do we got to show you in here? Not much. Here's your main control valve. This does have the auxiliary spool from the factory in this control valve, and there is one cap right there, and the other cap's underneath it. See if I can get the phone down there. I can't see if the phone goes down, but there's the top block, there's the other block underneath it. There are your two lines that would go out the boom for a thumb or a hammer. Here is your pilot valve on the top that activates that port. And all they did is they put the pilot hose on there, and they ran that pilot hose down just to the tank on both sides, and there it goes to the right into return oil right there. There's it is. You take this guy off, and you take off the one that goes to the bottom, put in your pilot valve, and you're ready for a thumb or a hammer. Okay, nothing more to really show there. Put this guy back down. We'll look on this side. Here's our swing motor. You see there's no leaks any place whatsoever. Here is, this port is where they would return the oil for a hydraulic hammer, because if you know anything about hammers, they cannot withstand any back pressure, hardly at all. They need super easy flow on the return side of the hydraulic hammer. So they put a port to go directly into the tank so it does not go through the control valve. That's why the newer machines will be nice. They'll give you a single action control system or a dual action. And they have a picture of a hydraulic hammer on it. It goes to single, and then the oil goes right directly back to tank. I guess I don't have nothing else to show in here. As I said, there's no oil leaks any place on this. Here's our grease manifold here. You should get your stick cylinder and the two boom cylinders. Those are the two boom cylinders that go up, and the stick, so that takes care of those three. These two are for the boom right here. Just boom, right, boom, left and right. Here's where Daewoo intended for the auxiliary plumbing, right here, on each side. And you can see I utilized this side where I just ran the two small lines for the hydraulic quick coupler that I put on 20 years ago. I believe that coupler now is around $8,500, $9,000. That coupler was made in America. There was no buying any overseas stuff back 20 years ago. There wasn't that cheap Chinese junk. We paid the big bucks for made in America stuff. I have had one of the boom cylinders. I don't know which one it was. I would say within the last year I had one boom cylinder repacked. The other is original. I don't remember which one it was. I think maybe it was that one. But they're bone dry. Bone dry. There's no leaks. Both those are bone dry. The stick cylinder I rebuilt 2-3 years ago. Had it repacked because it was starting to weep. And then the bucket cylinder, I did that about the same time as I did one of the boom cylinders. No, there's no leaky cylinders on it whatsoever. Well, we want to show you the battery box. I only remember replacing batteries in this machine one time in all the years I've owned it. And when I replaced them, I put on, and before we tried with the original batteries, I put on the battery maintainers. And the battery maintainers, totally worth the investment now that any battery cost you, seems like $100, $150. These are Napa commercial batteries that we bought through Tex Equipment at our discounted price, of course. But yeah, that's all it needs. You're on 24 volts, so you don't have massive batteries to crank it over. And really, it's not that big of an engine, actually. You know, smaller engine than what you got in your Cummins pickup. And the 24 volt also means you can get away with a lot smaller battery because your voltage is higher, easier cranking. That's really all that's in here. Here's a diagram here that shows you how many hours, 50, 10, 150, 250, 1,000 hours, and shows you where they want it greased or oiled. There's all your points right there. Okay, let this down. It has a locking fuel cap which fits the ignition key. Oh, that cap over there, that's your hydraulic tank. I suppose I could have made a bunch of little short videos instead of having the camera on while I crawl around. One work light there, and then there's a work light, let's see, on each side of the boom. Up there on the boom you can see that one. There's one on the other side. Those ones are LED. This panel on this side has had some wrinkles on it. When I bought it, it was scratched up. And see, you can see the wrinkles. This panel is not perfect. This was the only physical damage to the machine on the panel. Yeah, you can go up and shut the hood there. And we just straightened it out the best we could on the panel. You know, the swinging around on these old machines. You know, the back of the machine is way out there with the swing around, with your swing over. Let's see, what do we see in here? There's your hydraulic oil level. This valve right there is the valve that we installed. This valve controls the hydraulic quick coupler. Okay, guess we don't see nothing else in here. It does shut really nice. It doesn't sit there and rattle. Like I said, it's a little wrinkly there. It wasn't perfect, but it does shut good. See? And it's not rattly. I'll try to remember to go underneath this thing here. I wanted to show you that fuel filter. Okay, we'll go to this side. This one didn't have, it had a couple little dinks. You can't see them in the paint right now with the sun is, but there's a little, I can feel a little bit of a wrinkle there. I never even saw it before they painted it. I would have told them to do something about it, but I never even saw it. There's our radiator burp tank. It's down on the low there. See it? Yeah, you can see the antifreeze in it. Could use a little antifreeze in there. And our oil cooler. Can't actually see the radiator. This here first guy That is your oil cooler. As you can see, it's perfect. Doesn't even have a bent fin on it. This, I guess, is in case something happens with the computer. You can actually run your throttle right there. You can push that and set the throttle right there. That runs right over to the side of the injector pump. You can see a mechanical cable there. And then in this box is your electric throttle control, where you're spinning up your potentiometer on the dash. That cable you can see there, that runs over to the injector pump. This is back when they first started doing that and didn't have much for computers back in this vintage. I remember Komatsu and those, they had the hand throttle where you'd yank it up with your hand. And so that's why I think they didn't have much confidence, and they installed the mechanical throttle at the time, just to make sure that the poor guy wasn't left stranded if the electric one crapped out. This panel here opens. I don't know if I can get, yeah, there's just a little wing nut. The other panel shuts over top of it, you see here. This one opens and to give you access to your air cleaner and I think the AC condenser. Yeah, there's your AC. There's your dryer, the original Daewoo. Like I say, it did blow ice cold air when we charged it, but that was so many years ago, and we just didn't use it. Half the time when you use it, it's raining out anyhow. You know, Oregon. Here's what they did with their idea of a quick change. You see all them quick change couplers there? That's so you can change controls around from Cat to John Deere. We've only left them in one position, never touched it. There's more pilot controls. Here's your windshield washer fluid right out here. So you probably want to kind of keep windshield washer fluid in it, because if you put it in straight water, it's going to freeze and break out here. Your air cleaner, pre-cleaner. I guess that's all that's behind that thing. Okay, let's put this back in here. Little washer on our wing nut here. Started that with my left hand. That's pretty aspendectmious. I didn't think I could do that. I can eat with chopsticks with my left hand better than my right hand, and I'm right-handed. What's with that? Okay, that's there. Shut this panel. One finger shut. No rattle. Not twisted. Yeah, very, very good. Okay, we want to go back and I want to go underneath. I was talking, show them the extra fuel filter if I can. It might be behind this cover, because we always ran this thing around here. We don't, on this property, we don't have any trees. We don't have big boulders. We have nothing to ever hit it. So the extra fuel filter is under here. This panel is where you can pull out to drain your engine oil. But if you're going to get out the fuel filter, I'm sorry, I guess you have to unbolt this, because we ran this machine without these covers on it all these years and just put them on now for when we sent it to get it painted. As you can see all the covers, you can see a little bit of imperfection in that one there, not much. But we, like I say, I never put them on, because that way, if we ever got any wash it off, dirt, mud, or whatever, it doesn't just fill up your covers. Okay, I guess we're done underneath here, because I can't show you. Here I can show you the swing motor from the bottom. But like I say, you'll have to pull the panel off here. I'm just going to spin around and show you. There's how it looks underneath. There's no bashed up panels. No damage to anything underneath. This guy right here, if he wasn't on, there's a fuel filter right here, a spin-on, just as a primary. It's just a real simple spin-on filter. That's where you'd go first if you're having, if you feel like you're running out of power or it's acting like it needs a fuel filter. Hit this guy first before you go to the main one up above. Okay. View back here farther.